Good day, folks. I'm Pamela Arora, the CEO of AAMI, and I'm joined today by Scott Trevino, and he is the SVP of Cybersecurity for TRIMEDX. Thank you for joining, Scott.
Thank you very much for having me.
We appreciate the time. And you've been here speaking at HIMSS 23, and we can look forward to you speaking soon in Long Beach at AAMI's Exchange in June on the main stage. But the topic is a hot one. From a cybersecurity standpoint, first, the bad actors are having organizations really jump, and then the regulatory folks are really trying to create a safer ecosystem as well. Do you want to have a few comments on the implications of some of the regulations around cybersecurity?
Sure. I think you framed it well, which is the bad actors are driving action legislatively, regulatorily, and I think there's some real implications that are important to HDM to talk about and what it means for our industry and broadly for healthcare as a result.
Absolutely. At Exchange, we're going to give it the main stage because we know there's a lot of questions that are going on. But if there was one or two key points that really you think people should have top of mind so that they're getting ready to address it or already addressing it and kind of dialing it up, what would that be?
Well, I think generally, and we've been talking about this in HDM for some time, the cyber toolkit, the skills necessary to service devices for cybersecurity and software aren't going away. They're going to become more prevalent and more necessary. So I think that's just a general theme that's really accelerating with the legislative changes to be ready for that. Also, to be ready for changes for that equipment and new equipment and what it might mean for legacy equipment. And that will shape our HDM programs and think about how do we get more integrated with IT for cybersecurity, because that's traditionally been somewhat of a challenge where medical devices are unique when it comes to cybersecurity, and the responsibility and processes need to be integrated across those boundaries so there's collaboration.
From a regulatory standpoint, one of the biggest impacts around cyber is this omnibus bill. And I know you're going to talk about it in length at Exchange, but what do you want people to know before they get to Long Beach?
Well, what I would say is there has been a lot of legislation that's been passed recently relative to previous years as a result of what's happening industry-wide. And at the forefront of that list is the omnibus bill. There's significant changes for what it means to bring to market medical devices as it pertains to cybersecurity. Some things that are very impactful for the problems we have today. And most importantly, I would say, is it really gives authority to act by the FDA to ensure that cybersecurity is part of the design of those devices, both as they come to market and to maintain them. So without sharing too much there, I'd say this is going to be a very big part of what we discuss in Long Beach.
I agree completely. And when it comes to actually having usable data, whether it feeds into an electronic medical record or it drives what's taking place in the med device realm, there's this aspect and proper fear around ransomware. Mm-hmm. That's pretty clear cut when you can't get to the data. It's right. Like shuts things down. A little bit more concerning is when everything's integrated, a bad actor's in your environment, and something is being tweaked at a medical device level or in the electronic medical record. Do you have any thoughts that you want to share with the group in that regard?
Sure, that's very troublesome. You know, healthcare has the highest cost per data breach. Ransomware attacks are prevalent. In 2021, there's a record level of breaches, and it leads all critical infrastructure. So it's clearly one of the most targeted industries, and for a reason. It's costly and beneficial to those bad actors. So having a proactive program, a strong HDM program that can identify those breaches quickly and then act is critical. Not to give away too much, but when we look at healthcare, time to identify the breach is over 200 days on average in healthcare. Right. Time to then contain the breach is another 70 days. So if we do improve the way we approach our cybersecurity programs and our preparedness and also run our programs, driving that down not only increases patient safety, but can reduce impact to our organizations.
No, true. And from the standpoint of having all eyes be on watch for it, I think the phishing attacks people have a little bit more understanding on when it's through that email. But as far as those that are doing the preventive maintenance, they may be the first to know
Right.
relative to those vet devices that they're not behaving as they ought to.
That's right.
It's a good point. Relative to third-party risk, it's an interesting aspect. So you're in a hospital organization, you work with a partner, they have a breach, it's impacting your organization. From a regulatory standpoint, is any of that type of ownership around keeping those areas secure addressed?
Yeah, I think because there's a broad spectrum of third-party servicers that are involved in industry, it depends. And I always hate saying it depends, but it does. So with a comprehensive program, such as ones that I'm, familiar with currently, we integrate into the healthcare organization. So we're part of the organization, their processes, continuity of service, business continuity planning. In fact, when there are reportability issues, we help report oftentimes on behalf or in collaboration with that client. So, and there may be, in some cases, a BAA agreement that's in place. And for others, it may be more transactional for specific devices. So it all really depends. And I think the awareness is really heightened based on some of the changes to know when you're collaborating with a healthcare organization as a third party or the other way around, to understand where responsibilities begin and end.
No, true. And cyber risk relative to getting insurance and being able to show you have a strong program, that's an important aspect too. But it starts with the problem, regulation, trying to help that. We're really excited about the program that you're going to be delivering, the main stage talk that you'll be providing at Exchange. If there was any 2 takeaways you wanted to give folks to kind of get them ready for the conversation, what would it be?
Well, what I was thinking about recently is that the environment's dynamic, kind of like the weather in the Midwest. So I think, be ready for changes between now and then. And I intend to be as accurate up to the day to share what's going on and what it might mean. And similar to that analogy, we do our best to predict what's going to come, but we will also diagnose what happened and why and what it means for us. So knowing, I'd say stay current with what's going on in current events. Think about what it means for your program. You mentioned it. Having a strong HTM program is critical for cybersecurity and all the aspects around it. So think about what software patching means. What is compensating controls? How do I service and maintain devices? Understanding what they are and how they might be vulnerable to cybersecurity. Bring your questions and I'll do my best to provide answers.
Excellent. Well, TRIMEDX, as well as all of our members, have a path to the patient, and we all want the safest care possible for our community and our family members and loved ones. So from that standpoint, I think everyone's going to enjoy the conversation coming up. But thank you for your time, Scott.
Thank you for having me. It's my honor.